Hi! Here we are again with another video today. What's up? What's poppin'? What's crack-a-lackin'? It's your girl Chanel. Here I am in my car. I hope you guys had an amazing, beautiful, fantastic, energetic filled week, because I know I did. And I have a special guest today. You can come in now. Hi. Hello. This is my cousin Maribeth. Okay. So, how was your drive?
It was good.
By the way, before we get started here, I live in Ocala and Madi lives in Jacksonville, so that's a solid 2.5 hours. Your drive?
The drive is the same drive that I always take. It was
good.
A little stressful because I was trying to make it down to the party. My mom's birthday, surprise birthday party.
Yes.
Which I did not make it to.
Yes, so yesterday, today is Sunday while we're filming this video, but yesterday was my aunt, my Titi Loida's surprise birthday party. But that was awesome. Honey. Anyway. I really don't know how to transfer into this, you know? It's difficult. It's difficult.
Just start talking about it. Rip it off like a Band-Aid, as they say.
So, we wanted to talk about mental health. We thought that would be a good topic of the week. And I thought, you know, I couldn't really do that alone. So, Mari's here. What are some of your things that you still deal with on a day-to-day or on a month-to-month?
The whole financial situation is stressful. Rent ain't cheap. But I don't know, I just feel like I'm working to get financially stable, and I'm working, and I'm barely taking steps forward to that goal of financial freedom. It's hard. I hate my part-time job. My full-time job isn't that secure right now, so I'm stressing. It's stressful thinking about it now because right now it's stressful, and who knows what the future will bring.
So
you gotta be hopeful.
It's
hard to talk about that stuff because then it's you have a clear mind, a clear idea of what you're going through in your mind, but then you try to articulate it in words, and it's
do you think that there's a specific goal that you have in mind?
I think financial freedom for me is just having enough to pay my bills, not having to stress about it month to month, paycheck to paycheck. Being comfortable in doing what you want. I want to take a weekend trip to Ocala to see my family and not have it be a big deal because I have to take off of work here and off of work here, and then that causes me to not have as much money for the next week or the next couple weeks, or it's little things like that. But to not have to worry about that stuff would be a huge weight off your shoulders. It's you're not stressing about
like that.
Yeah.
I feel you on that front of I think one of my biggest things is that as well, the feeling of I feel like I'm working hard and I'm in the same place that I was last week and that I was last month and that I was 3 months ago. I feel like I'm in the bubble, and in that bubble is only this, it's stress.
It's a constant struggle. It's a constant stress.
Yeah. Honestly, there's a light, and I think that everybody has to have their own, their own light. Me with this YouTube channel and you with your art,
I was talking to my dear brother, Marcus, and we've actually been talking a lot more. We've bonded over my mental breakdowns and him having experience with all of that and him just helping me out. But I was talking to him and I was telling him that I just feel like I'm just kind of drowning. Everything is there's a lot going on, and I have plans to move forward and move out of this struggle, but it's all overwhelming and I don't know where to start, and everything is Like, there's things that are happening out of my control. Like, I get a flat tire and it throws everything off, and I'm on a plan, and, you know, I have an emergency doctor's appointment that I have to go to, you know. It just, you're trying to follow your plan, and then it happens, and it's like, it's always going to happen, and it just feels overwhelming. I don't feel like I can get out of it sometimes.
Do you think that there's any underlying reason as to why sometimes you feel that way? Do you feel like sometimes it's difficult for yourself to handle? Like, you yourself as a person, do you think you find it difficult to handle your stresses?
Sometimes I feel like a lot of people are better equipped to handle life better than other people. And it's really hard for, I guess, people who suffer with, like, social anxiety or any kind of anxiety, depression. It's just, even with people who suffer with those kinds of things, or who deal with those kinds of things, some of them are more equipped to handle life better than others. So it's just, I feel like, me personally, I'm finding it really hard to handle life and, like, deal with a lot of things. And I, like many others, hate asking for help.
I know that for a fact.
Which is something that you need to do if you're gonna try to be sane and try to lead a healthy and somewhat normal or happy life. Which is why I started reaching out to Marcus, because I was going through all this stuff and I was cutting myself off from all my friends in Jacksonville. I was, like, keeping myself busy with work, and I was even turning art into something stressful, like just trying to get as much art done so I can try to sell as much art as I can. And it was all becoming too much, and, like, I was in a really bad place, and I finally called Marcus. You need people, is what I'm trying to say. You can't keep all of that stuff inside, because it can turn into bad things.
Do you think you still deal with lots of, like, depression and getting into those episodes? You know, growing up, we saw some of that, but you were going through, like, lots and lots of different things. Like, for example, like your dad getting cancer,
Mm-hmm.
like things like that. You know, do you think you still deal with a lot of, like, depressive things that go back to that, or?
Yeah, I think it's just a combination of all the things that I went through that I probably should have talked to somebody about, like how I was feeling, I guess, but I didn't, and I just let it all kind of, like, pile up onto each other, and it came out in not healthy ways, in very negative ways that made it worse. And then I had to, like, that became something that I was also pushing back and not talking about, and it was a vicious cycle. I feel like if I would have talked to somebody as those things were happening, or, like, confided in somebody, I would be a lot better off right now than I am. I'm in a healthier place, but I'm still struggling. Like, I'm still dealing with stuff and trying to find healthier coping mechanisms.
I know that, you know, when you had mentioned that you were, like, going to see somebody, you were talking to somebody, you know, professionally. Do you think that there's a problem with the fact that, I remember it was like you were going through this and you needed somebody to talk to, and you chose to confide in someone professionally, but then it got, like, real costly, you know? Do you think that there's a problem with that aspect of it? You chose to stop.
I tried to, because I felt, and I still feel, that I should see somebody professionally, just so maybe I can get a clear idea of maybe my mental health, and, like, if there's any kind of diagnosis or whatever. But I went to 2 therapy sessions, and the first one, they were both expensive, first of all, but The first one was a lady. Everyone says that, everyone who goes to therapy says that you have to like find your match. That first lady that I went to was just, she made me feel like I wanted to talk about these things that were like upsetting me, and she made me feel like they were like inconsequential and not that important, and
And this was the moment I knew I'd fight that.
shouldn't feel that way, or like you shouldn't, you know, be that upset about it because this is happening. I hate when people do that. Like, just because you're not going through something completely devastating and traumatic doesn't mean that for you it's not a big deal. Like, you can't compare your struggles with somebody else's struggles. Everybody's struggling, and two people could be having the same struggle, but one person handles it and feels it in a different way than somebody else does. The second one was, I think I liked the second lady better, but it was just money. I couldn't keep going, even if I wanted to. I started confiding in, I guess, my friends, but then I felt like I was burdening them with my issues.
You feel like for that specific coping mechanism, you feel like, do you feel like that draws people away from you? Do you feel like that's why you feel like that's a burden? Because sometimes people can't handle that?
Can we say the coping mechanism? I self-injure, and it started at a young age, and it was just something that made me feel not good or comfortable. It didn't feel good or comfortable, but it was like a distraction, and if I was like stressed out about one thing, just, you know, do this thing and it'll take your mind off of it. And so I was self-injuring for a really long time, and then I had those two therapy sessions that weren't really therapy sessions, but I kind of got better, and I was talking to more people, not necessarily about my mental health or like things that were going on, but I was just surrounding myself with more people and like being social, and that helped a lot. And then when Malin passed away, that just kind of brought everything back up, and I kind of isolated myself for a long time. And then it's been like a roller coaster. Like, I've been good and bad and good and bad, and then I got better for a little while, but recently I've started isolating myself again, and just I've been feeling lonely.
Is there anything that you feel that's driving that isolation that you feel? Like, is it like the stress about the job, and now you're just like, here's another thing to freaking worry about?
That I think it's I don't want people to worry is my thing. It's like everybody's going through their and I don't want to put my on top of their
Mm-hmm.
So that's a lot of why I isolate myself and why I keep to myself, because I want to try to handle it by myself so that I can be better, so I can help other people, so other people can confide in me and like burden me, but I can't be a hypocrite and tell them that like they can come talk to me when I can't come talk to them. Revelation.
So would you say that you still result in your coping mechanism? You still do that to this day?
I haven't done it in months, which is not a long time, but for me it's a long time. It's something that I think about all the time, and it's when something is stressing me out, which a lot of things are stressing me out right now. It's like the first thing that my mind goes to. Like the first time that I told somebody about it, I didn't even really tell anybody about it. It was when I got in the car accident, and so they had to like take me out of the car, and they had to like cut my clothes off, and my dad saw like my legs and stuff. He didn't really bring it up, but he worried, obviously. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, this is worrying him, so I can't do it. But then another part of my brain was like angry and upset, and I was like, they're essentially, by worrying and by wanting me to stop, they're kind of taking away my coping mechanism, my way of feeling better. So I stopped self-injury, but not really. I was like, instead of cutting myself, I was like hitting myself, or I was like scratching myself, or
When you said that you've been doing it for a long time, what do you think was the trigger that started that? And how young would you say you started doing that? Because I feel like a lot of fear for a lot of parents is that their child may result in that and that they may not know. And what do you think, if you could go back and like talk to your younger self and or talk to your parents who obviously they didn't know about it until your accident, what do you think you would say to them?